words before we begin. We can do this. We can do this together. So I'd like to call up Rabbi Yeshua Wordy to say a few words before we begin the program. But going off script, we want to thank Rabbi Wordy for coming all the way from Crown Heights. For many, many years, Rabbi Wordy has been working with many people, help start them getting going in their businesses on many different fronts. And when he decided to come here to South Florida, many months ago, we've had quite a few very successful programs. And tonight is our favorite, real estate. So we'd like to thank everyone for coming. It's a full house. We appreciate it. We have many guests tonight that have taken time out of their schedule to be here. So let's give them the proper respect and the proper decorum so we can have a beautiful event. Rabbi Yeshua Wordy.
Thank you very much. I want to say Menachem has been a big driving force in pushing me to get to do these things. Important announcement. Somebody has a white Camry that they parked in the basement and that it's still running. If that's your car, you should go shut it off. Yes? You're a white Camry in the basement. Okay, welcome everyone. It's nice to see all of you. For those familiar faces, nice to see you again. For the new faces, nice to meet all of you for the first time. This is very exciting, this event, Baruch Hashem. I just want to set the expectations so you know how the flow of the event is going to run. This is a packed event that has a lot of parts to it. Okay, so in a moment, we're going to call up our keynote speaker, Mr. Shaya Boymelgreen. I'll speak more about him in a second, and he's going to be interviewed by the distinguished Getzi Felig. Okay, we'll clap for them in a second. Hold on. They're going to speak for about a half hour, 40 minutes. After that is over, that's when we transition. That's only the first half of the event. Then we start the second half of the event. We have these round tables. Each round table has a different topic, and we have distinguished people who are tremendous experts in their field that are going to lead roundtable discussions at these round tables. And there's going to be networking. The food will come back out. We have vendors and sponsors here, so there's a lot. And we're hoping this event will go till they kick us out at 11. So that's just for your expectations. That's the flow of the event. Okay, we're going to get started. I just wanted to start off, this is a Jewish event. We should say something Jewish for starters. Very famous. Real estate and Judaism goes together. It's the biggest industry for sure by far for the Jewish community, and we have some fascination with real estate. So first of all, there's a famous Gemara in Baba Metzia that says, La'olam yishalish adam ma'isav. A person should divide their money into 3 parts. And it says, shlish b'karka. You should invest 1/3 of your money in property, in investments, in real estate. So this is already from the times of the Gemara, the Talmud. The advice has been for the Jews to invest in real estate. A very interesting thing that the Lubavitcher Rebbe says, why is it that we have such a fascination with real estate, is because God has a fascination with real estate, right? We all, for many of us, have learned the purpose of creation is dira b'tachtonim. Hashem wants a home in the lower worlds. God is looking for a home down here, and since God was looking for a home, we look for homes too. So that's an interesting Hasidic perspective on real estate. Okay, so without further ado, I know you've all been waiting for this. I would like to say that I've been running business events now for close to 10 years, and it's been on my radar to have Shaya Boymelgreen speak at one of my events for 10 years. And Baruch Hashem, after 10 years, we got him. A special shout out goes though to Eli Spalter. Where are you, Eli Spalter? Eli Spalter, he was very instrumental in getting Shaya to agree to come. And I want to thank you very much for that. So, growing up in Crown Heights, Shaya was a legend in Crown Heights. He was the king of real estate in New York for many years. And he's really a very accomplished person in the world of real estate. He's seen it all, and he's done it all, and he's on top of his game, and tonight he's coming to share his wisdom. And so I could not think of a better person to come up tonight, so I would like to call up Shaya to please come have a seat. Okay, and then I'd like to call up, I would like to say I grew up, I'm originally from Miami Beach, okay, a different generation than you guys. I lived here from 1980 to 2000, and I grew up actually, Getsy's older brother, Olav Shalom Zviki, was my classmate, and I know Getsy for almost as many years. He's really become a tremendous person, and I couldn't think of a better person to do an interview with Shaya than Getsy, and on top of that, Getsy is Shaya's nephew. And so we're honored that Getsy, he put himself out to come tonight. He had to travel, he had to cut his journeys early to be here, and I'm very thankful. Thank you very much, Getsy. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rabbi Wordy. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time. So, before I get started, I just want to say on a personal note, Shaya is my uncle, and he's also one of the reasons why I got into real estate. So it's not just an honor to ask questions and to stand there and to be helpful to the event. It's also real, because I've had many questions throughout my career, and I still do today, and Shaya has been a tremendous source of information, inspiration, and the man has seen a lot. So I can tell you from personal experiences, of course it's all about Mazel, we know that. It's also good to have a Yedid, and he's certainly been mine. So Shaya, thank you, and I really appreciate it. That being said, the first question I'd like to pose, which I know is on my mind, and this is one that's not been answered before, is how do you keep your hair so nice like that? Truth is, I've been practicing, and it's not bad. Anyways, okay. So
Next question.
next question. So tell us a little bit about you getting involved in real estate. Was this something that growing up you had a passion for, it just happened? What's your story? How did you get into it to begin with?
First of all, good evening to all of you. I'm humble to see so many people came. Maybe you came for Getsy. Just close. But it's very nice to see such a nice crowd. I feel like I have to make the Tfilah Sinani from Baal Tfilah, Rosh Hashanah, before Musaf. Anyway, so
How you got started? What was real estate? Why not a baseball player?
okay, some people go to college and they learn different things and they continue. Some doctors, some professionals, different professionals, and they continue with their profession. I'm a yeshiv bocher. I came from Israel. I came to 70. I have no profession. So I came outside, and after I finished the kollel, I was looking around. Whatever I looked was just houses. I looked all over his houses. So I saw big houses and said, oh, that's it. We're going to go for this. So real estate was almost everything is real estate. And the first thing, I think I took a job after the kollel is in a large real estate company. And before a year over, I saw opportunity, and I bought a piece of real estate with Boymelgreen. If anybody knows, this is another uncle of Getsy, and we start from there. Simple as that.
And what were you guys doing? Were you apartment rentals? What was the business? What was the business? Talk closer.
It's income producing real estate, residential. We start with Crown Heights, of course, and we moved on from there.
Got it. Who at that time, so you came out of Kollel, you were born in Israel, you were trained in yeshiva with mathematics and science and economics. So who then were the, let's call it the mentors that you looked at, whether in the community or in the business that you thought would be helpful to you, if any?
At that time in Crown Heights was maybe 3-4 people was in business. One of them is Isaac Popak, Chitrik. It was very few, but it's not the people that you wanted to go and ask for aids or to guide you what to do. You have to do it yourself.
And did you find it difficult that you didn't have that education in order to learn the basics, or were you able to figure it out easily? What was the learning curve like? Just not coming from a college or a high school education, but more yeshiva background.
In a way, it was a plus. I didn't know much, so everything was open to me. I didn't see no boundaries or any places that gonna stop me. I thought that I can do everything because I didn't know anything. So in a way, it was. I can stand it. It's okay.
So you're saying that there's, because you didn't have the formal education, there was nothing stopping you because you didn't understand why not.
Yes.
Can you recall the first thing that you did that everybody thought you were insane, but you just thought was just the way to do it?
Let's go to 15 Broad. I think you were involved, or your sister was involved in 15 Broad. That was right after 9/11. And real estate was very, very low-key. Nobody wants to buy anything. Nobody wants to sell anything. We didn't know what's next. And a broker, one of the top brokers in New York, called me and he said, "Shaya, I have something very special for you." I said, "Special? I'll be there in 30 minutes. And I came to Manhattan and I saw the building. It was perfect. It was a building, it was JP Morgan building, office building, and it was perfect to transfer to residential. The view, the windows, it's not common to have such a thing in Manhattan. And I said, "I like the building. What's the story?" So he said, they're looking between 90 to $100 million. I said, "Okay. What's next?" He said, "Let's go to New Jersey, speak to Chase Manhattan. It's on the market." When we came to Chase Manhattan, New Jersey, it was the buildings over there and the offices. And the head of real estate of Chase Manhattan, she was probably two heads taller than me. And I was looking at her, and she said, "This building is sold, is under contract." I said, "So why did you give me the appointment to come?" He said, "No, we didn't sign it yet, but the contract, we have the contract," and she showed the contract on the table. It was very heavy contract. So I said, "If it's not signed, would you give me 24 hours? She said, "I'm not sure. This is a good customer of us." And I said, "You know what? I'll give you $100 million. I'll give you 24 hours. I'll give you $1 million hard money. And in 7 days, you'll get $7 million hard money." She was shocked. And she said, "Hard money?" I said, "Yes, 24 hours. Hard money, $1 million. And $7 million, another 6 in a week." And sometimes you coming in front of a seller or a buyer, you have to listen to them. And you listen very carefully. You have to know what they need, what they want. And if they get what they want, you will get what you want. So this was Chase Manhattan, public company, $100 million. If I'll offer them 95, 96, it's not the same as $100 million. $100 million sounds good for a public company. Number two, they're not going to play with anybody because they have already a good customer talking to them. She wants to know she has a hard money on the spot. I said, 24 hours, you have a hard money. And then you get another $6 million. I got the package. They crossed the name of the guy that does the contract. I took the contract. I went into my lawyer. I said, "Call all the people over here. We have a whole night to study the contract." And by the morning, I wired $1 million to Chase Manhattan. So I tied the property. People in the industry, they said, "Shai, you paid $100 million. We got it for 90. We could get it for 90, 92. Why did you give them 100? But It's not the $8 million or $6 million. When you buy a property to develop, so the property cost us $100 million. The development construction cost another $250 million. So it's already $350. By the end of the day, we sold it for $600 million. So it doesn't matter the $8 million or the $10 million. Give them what they want and get what you want. And that's one lesson in real estate that you can take with you. It will continue.
15 Broad, by the way, if you're not familiar, is on Wall Street. It's a very prestigious property, and that area is like a canyon of office buildings forever. So to build something residential there and to do it the way that Shaya did it was groundbreaking. I think that's what led to the New York Times.
It's in front of the stock exchange. Yeah. We took the designer Philippe Stark. We gave them very special look. And all the apartment was designer apartments, so we made something out of it. By the way, we sold it for $600,000, $600 million, and we left probably another $100 million on the table. We made a
108.
Fire sale.
108 million. Paid too much.
108 million, you're right.
So that's a great example of how not being formally educated, not having a structured upbringing or a what to do and what not to do worked in your favor, thank God. What was a mistake that you may have made in your career that, due to you not having that formal education, happened or didn't?
Okay, I'll take all the credit for myself, and all the mistakes, I'll blame God. But I don't know what's a mistake. Rabbi Wardy mentioned before that the Mishnah said, the Gemara, Lo'olam yashlish odom mamoinai. Always you put a third, and a third. I would like to give it a pirush that put 100% in real estate. A third of it, make sure it's very conservative. You buy a building, income producing, very conservative mortgage, so you save, and this is the first third. The second piece of real estate, go out a little bit more. Make sure that you extend the mortgage, take a little bit of risk, and take 80%, 90% mortgage, and start with this. And the other third, just be risky. Go for risk. If you're not going to risk, you're not going to get the reward. You're not going to risk, you're not going to be rich. From just regular real estate to sit down, it'll take a long time to be where you want to be. You want to move faster, you must take risk. And risk, by the way, is development, is very risky. You don't know the market, you start today, you start selling this in 4 years today, you don't know what's the market going to be. But you must take the risk. Obviously, you have to know the floor always, what's the risk about. If you're going to be wiped out, don't touch it. If you're going to lose, you can lose money, it's fine. It's fine. You can do it. General Sharon said, always all tied to the carousel. The carousel sometimes up, sometimes down. If you fall, you're out of the game. Make sure you don't fall. Stay firm and on the carousel, and sometimes you're going to be up or you're going to be down. Take the risk, it's worth it.
So you've been in real estate since you came out of Kollel. So how many years would you say that's been?
Sorry?
I'm not trying to say how old you are, but what would you say, how many years have you been in real estate? You got into real estate after Kollel, so is it, how many years? 10 years?
I married in 1972. I was 21 years old. Today I'm 71, soon 72. I was in Kollel for another year, and then I started real estate.
So about 50 years you've been involved in real estate, plus or minus, more minus, I mean maybe minus 20. So you've seen a tremendous amount of cyclical, these cycles. You've seen cycles. Obviously I was born in the early 80s, so there's historical times in the market that I can't even reference. But even since I'm involved, there's been quite a few. The 2008 recession, of course, is being the major one. Before the recession, the bubble, when we were selling condos that weren't even there, we were flipping them, and everyone was having a party. So you've seen a lot. So none of us are prophets, obviously. It would seem, though, that we are heading for a correction in the real estate market across all different categories, whether it's a realtor who's selling homes or an investor who buys apartment buildings or even a developer. What, based on your experience over the course of those years, would you recommend to someone here who's sitting and trying to debate what to do now? Maybe they're trying to get involved in real estate right now, and they're concerned that a recession's coming, interest rates are up, 350 basis points. What am I going to do? So what would you say to that person? And in general, to everybody sitting in this room, what would you advise as far as a general outlook, meaning looking beyond it based on what you've seen over the course of 50 years?
I don't have the crystal ball to know what the future is. But real estate, always you have a cycle. And in a cycle, you make sure you have a lot of opportunities in the cycle. And I think that you can make money, you can make good deals on the way up, you can make deals when real estate on the way down, and just take the opportunity. If it's going down, be ready to take the opportunity when the cycle is down.
So when things fall, you should not stand aside but get involved, is what you're saying.
You let the knife fall, don't catch it on the way down. But when it's fall, be ready.
Do you have any advice as to how to realize if the knife has hit the floor yet?
I didn't follow, I'm sorry.
How do you know where the knife is? You're saying don't catch the knife when it's falling. So how do I know when it's on the floor? When's too late? When's too early?
Very, very good question. It's very hard to describe it over here in front of people, just where is that? You have to know the market. Let me give you some advice, if we're talking in this. When you go into real estate, the best thing is to buy in the center. Don't buy in the side. Buy maybe smaller, but in the center. Number two, make sure you buy as large as possible. Instead of buy 2 or 3 small pieces, buy 1 large piece. It has a lot of more value when you have a big real estate, especially in the center. Number 3 or number 4, make sure you're dealing with luxury. Don't go to the small real estate, regular apartment, just luxury. And I would say that with this, obviously, you need a lot more money. So the answer for this is very simple. If you're in real estate long enough and you are inside in the real estate and you understand what you're doing, you will find a lot of good deals. When you have a good deal, you go and you look for investors and be generous with them. Because one investor is going to make it you to one deal, he'll come with you the next deal, you'll find more investors, and you move on. And when real estate is down, especially when we're talking, when real estate is down, then you go to investors and you have the market partners that serious buy and maximize your portfolio in that time.
So you're saying by building it and being aggressive and also with terms that are friendly to the investors when times are good, when times are bad, so to speak, the opportunities will be there and they'll follow you because you've already showed that you know what you're doing and you can pull through.
It's always opportunities. It's like a train, keep coming and keep going. When the train coming to the station, it doesn't stop, it just slow down. When the train is slowed down, jump on the train, grab the train, and you're on it. So.
Can you give an example? It's a great transition to the next idea. First deal that you did, or the first development, or the apartment building you bought. I imagine you did not have money to buy it or to do the development when you were getting started. You talked about how it's important to be very generous to your investors, to build that relationship, so when the time comes, they'll be there with you and trust you. Can you either share a story, an experience, or a deal that you structured with one of your first investors that highlights and explains what you mean practically? Or can you, if you don't have one that you can think of, can you think of sitting here today and being a man that might be available to invest in somebody else's deal who is starting off, what you would expect or want to hear from that potential partner?
I mentioned before 3 or 4 things that it's very important. it's another thing that's important, to concentrate to one area. Don't buy property in Nashville and then you're going to Atlanta and then you buy something in Miami. You have to concentrate, especially when you are a beginner or medium. And so you know the area very good. And you know the area, and something is changing, you'll know before others knows. So if you have all the components that I said and you on top of it, you're always going to find very good deals. And when you have it, because of what we said, the points, I said you can go to investor and said, look, I have a good deal, I'm around the area, I have other buildings over here, take a look at this deal, and that's how you take the deal. But you want to hear a story.
No, if there's no story, there's no story. But
It's
what would you? I mean, what would be a practical offer? I mean, so a lot of times I'll get a call, as I'm sure you do. I have my first building and I'm trying to raise money. I don't have the money at all. What should I offer my investor? Should I give him 50% partnership? Should I give him no partnership and give him a return on his money? How generous would you get?
I mentioned this in the beginning, be very generous to them. Just ask for some kind of finder fee. Later on, if they get the money, the return back, you can go and ask some more for that. But be generous, just get into the market.
So just get started. Don't get lost in how much your profit split is and your preferred return split. Is just get started. If you have a deal, get the capital and move forward.
For many years, it was a family business. We did it slowly. We came in and we built one more, and we continue until, I guess, 10 or 15 years after. And then, we went in partnership with Africa Israel. It's a public company in Israel. And that was when we start going all over and worldwide that we did. And if you ask me today, if I'll go back 50 years, I would say don't go with partners. Don't take partners. Take investors. If you have a partner already, it's like you married. Stay with them, have children, gesundheit, Hatzloche. But if you don't have a partner, don't look for a partner. Look for an investor. Partner is, each person is a oilum umloya, each one is a separate entity. So I would say, I know you have partners, it's okay.
I was about to say, you ruined my whole business in 5 minutes. Thank you.
No, I said, take investor and asset by asset. You don't take investor for whatever it comes. Each deal is a separate deal. Each asset, you take the partners and you go with them. Not the partner, the investors.
So you mentioned a few things, and then I'll just elaborate for those who are not familiar. So at one point in Shaya's 50 years, he partnered with Lev Levaya from Africa, Israel, and they developed all across the country and the world. Shaya's started a bank. He owned a construction company in Israel. He's developed in Miami, by the Marquee property, which is near soon to be the formerly known FTX arena, but at the moment it's still known as that arena. So Shaya's been through a tremendous amount of things and all different types. So when he speaks about focusing on an area, he's telling you from his personal experiences as well as how partnerships might not go the way you intended. But to that note, Shaya, looking back at those 50 years, looking back at when you were engaged with Africa, Israel, getting started with Africa, Israel, and not to focus on that specific thing, but on all the things that you've done. So obviously you're sharing with us the mistakes that you've made and trying to explain, or let's not call it mistakes, roads that you went down that maybe didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. What would you have said to yourself now, rewind back to going to work together with Shalom Ber Drizin and collecting some income producing, you're out of Kollel, and you decided that real estate is real estate because there's buildings everywhere. What would you say to yourself then, to 20-year-old Shaya Boymelgreen, about what you know today, and what would you want that Shaya Boymelgreen to understand?
If you are in real estate, stick to it. Don't go out and look for something else and start something else, then come back to real estate. You're wasting time, you're wasting money. Stick to real estate. Like I said, it's a cycle, yes. Use the opportunity in the cycles. It's sometimes up, sometimes down. but stick to the real estate. Don't move. By the time, you'll be okay after a few years. Real estate has a very funny termination. We said location, location, location. The more important is timing, timing, timing. Timing is the most important. But next to the timing is time. If you have income producing asset that you're sitting on this, after 5 years, 10 years, the price is probably double or triple or 4 times as much. Because even if it's coming down, by the time it's the second cycle going to come, it's going to be more than it was before. So just by sitting on real estate, you're making money. As long as you can hold it, it's making money. So stick to real estate. Don't go out, and the time going to make you rich, if I can use this word, if it's not dirty enough to say. Time going to make you rich. And like we said before, when you have conservative assets, go ahead and take some risk and move ahead and continue. No partners, just investors and investors and investors. As more portfolio you're going to have, the time going to make it the portfolio much bigger and much more worth with the time.
So many people in the room here today are also involved in businesses that support developers or real estate investors. You have insurance brokers and mortgage brokers and financiers and hard money lenders and bridge lenders and everything in between. What would be a piece of advice that you can impart to those folks and those people about how you've chosen to work with these providers in your career, whether it's your insurance broker or your real estate agent that you're going to list your building with when you're ready to sell it? How do you make those choices in picking the services that you need to be successful?
I hate to disappoint you. I have no advice for them. I cannot advise any professionals. I don't know. I can tell you what I can feel and what I can understand, and the courage to take to do real estate, but not the professional way. I'm not coming here to talk about legal or 1031 or tax. This is not my
But so let me say it differently. If two guys came into your office 15 years ago, Chaim Yankel and Devorah Leah, and each of them wanted to sell you liability insurance for your portfolio of Manhattan buildings, and it's a big contract. What makes you choose one guy over the other, or girl, or whatever it is, outside of the price? If they're trying to build a relationship with Mr. Shaya Boymelgreen of tomorrow, and they want to earn that business, what can you tell that person as what they need to make sure to tell you, other than I'm cheaper than the other guy? What's going to earn your business and trust?
Let's divide it. When I try to give a job, insurance is insurance. It's not the people that coming to me. They have a job, they have a business, they have to make a living. So if I like Yankel more than Chaim, I'll take Yankel. Maybe Yankel need more money, he has more children, he has a bigger family, so I'll choose him. That's what I choose. But if you're going into the real estate to buy the core, then you're going into the business. This all other side, the profession, it's a different thing. It's not real estate, it's professionals.
It's support. So in short, if they want to win your business, they should have a lot of kids. You should have a big family, okay.
More or less.
Okay, so that makes sense. So, Yeshua, do we have time for questions? So I think if you're okay, we should maybe open the floor to some questions. So that's what I have. I don't know if you want to share any other remarks, Shaya, or if not, I'll turn it to maybe some people in the crowd who would like to pick your brain a little bit.
Like coming here, I wrote a couple notes to see. I don't know if I'll go blank, so I have something to look at. And I wrote some of the advice that I told you before. One of them, we all try to save money, but don't save money on CFO or a good lawyer. Make sure good CFO and a good lawyer, make sure they are connected. They'll help you a lot in the business. So, not to save money on those. I have 3 loving that I was mentioned that I wanted to bring. First, I said, don't change real estate. Stick to, not to change the profession or the business. Stick to real estate in the good time and bad time, number one. Number two, don't buy any property somewhere that you think the market is going to go there and it's going to be worth a lot of money. I bought probably 20 years ago 20 properties in downtown Miami, and still today you can go see them, it's still empty, most of them still empty, and probably I sold it to them and they sold it to the others. This is the 10th generation over there, sitting over there on the property. So if you buy anything, property, buy for now, buy here and now to use it, not for the future, because that's going to take 20 years and still going to be over there. And number three, and I think it's one of the most important things, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, go for it. As long as you use the right balance between your head, your heart, and the guts that you have the right balance, go for it. Otherwise, you don't belong to the business. I want to tell you a small story. I had another nephew, his name is Eli, and he met me 10 years ago, maybe more, 15 years ago, and he said, Uncle Shaya, I have a deal, 4 apartments, or 4 a building, or 4 apartments, or 8 apartments, and they have questions to buy it, not to buy it. I don't sleep already for 4 days. I don't know what to do. 4 days I don't sleep. I said, Ellie, I don't sleep for 40 years. So if you can't take the hit, you don't belong over here. You want to be in real estate, you want to be rich, excuse me, go ahead for it, don't be afraid, and move on.
Turn the attention to the crowd, and I guess you have to speak loud. 2 questions, says Rabbi Wordy. Okay, so I'll tell you what, Rabbi Wordy. How about you pick the 2 questions, so that I'm not, don't pick favorites. You're from New York. You don't know nobody.
Whoever wants to ask, we'll take 2 questions publicly for Shaya, and then the rest Shaya will sit, and you can ask as many as you want. So anyone who wants to ask a question, raise your hand. Yes, okay.
Yitzhak Weinstein, Isaac Weinstein from FM. At what point you sign on a paper, you're in contract, then you start putting everything, the numbers start getting clearer, do you have a doubt that maybe I shouldn't be doing this deal and pull out, or once you go in, you've already made up your mind that you can do this?
Many times, after you sign.
Let me repeat the question. So, the question was, at what point after you sign a contract do you either decide to get cold feet, I guess, and maybe back out, or get more information before you go all the way in? Did I? Okay.
Many times you get into this situation, and it's more because you sign and you know you have to pay. So everything start that. That's why I said, use your head very good, use your guts, and use your heart, and don't pull out just because you got scared. I just want to tell you, we are here. We came to Miami Beach. We moved to Miami, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. At the moment, I'm semi-retired. We have only few projects going on. One of them is on Pine 42. We're doing condominiums on 42nd Street and Pine Tree. It's about 60 condominiums with retail on the bottom, and it's already sticking out, and every day you're gonna see, every 2 weeks, gonna be another floor coming up. So this is one thing. And the second project that we're gonna launch the construction within 4 weeks on Collins between 93 and 94. We're gonna build $200 million glad kosher hotel with a ballroom for 1,000 people. We're not gonna make weddings over there because the Rabbi Lipsker, he made his own thing, so we're gonna leave this alone. But we're gonna have over there 1,000 people can sit in the ballroom and eat, and it's going to be with entertainment. On the roof, we have 400 seats, lobby is 300 seats. We can accommodate 1,500 people at the same time. So if we're going to feed people a whole day, at least it's twice a day. It's going to be 3,000 people. We're trying to make it the Mecca for the Orthodox people. It's going to be a glad kosher hotel, and I hope to see you there.
Everyone we'll do that one round of applause. So I'll unabashedly, Shaya, I'd like to reserve the next real estate event at your hotel in Mirza Shem. Okay. We have 200 people here. We'll fill it up. We'll do 1,000 people. Okay, we're going to start the second half of the event right now. The second half of the event goes as follows. We're going to be doing the roundtables. We have the distinguished experts that are going to be leading the conversation. Before we do that, this event is thanks to a bunch of sponsors that bought into us, and I'd like to call up. They get 30 seconds each sponsor to come talk about their company. Can I get one representative from each company to come up, please, quickly to talk about your company? Okay, so I see Buy It Title is coming up. Someone coming up from Skyscraper. A-Star. Morty, you ready? Oh, so come, you'll be first, go ahead. So,
reach out to us. We'll be happy to give you a free quote and to work with you. I want to give a shout out right now to these very talented people in the audience, realtors, mortgage brokers. You know who you are. We've worked with you. We appreciate every single one of you. Keep up your awesomeness. And lastly, at the very back, visit us at our table for a personalized Buy It Title kosher chocolate. Thank you.
Morty Brofman.
Thank you so much for the issue. It's an honor to be here. My name is Morty Brofman from White Collar Plumbing. We're a full stack and vertically integrated commercial plumbing commercial plumbing contracting company. We have experience in sewer line rebuild, cameras, jetting, and we do new construction for buildings and remodeling. We just signed 42 Pine with the Boymelgreens. We're very excited about that. We were also awarded 200 units as a subcontractor up in Pompano, and we have a bunch of other projects in the pipeline. We'd love to get a project started for you guys. We're also trying to keep our service arm alive while we keep up with the demand for new construction. Come visit us at our table down in the back. We have Sub, my gorgeous wife, and we're raffling off a really nice pair of these headphones that have a boom on them, so you could be on the phone for 8 hours a day and you could still hear everything. Thank you. Come back and say hi to us.
Skyscraper? Or?
Okay, so I'm here for all you owners. Who handles your property damage insurance claims? Do not tell me it's Vanessa in the front office. Do not tell me it's that dumb woman in your property management. That is usually who's doing it. Sometimes, God forbid, it's you, the owner. What a waste of your intelligence. This is what we do. We do insurance claim management. You send me pictures of what's wrong, I'll let you know if it's worth the money for you to file an insurance claim. Because we're not dumb about this. It's gonna hit your loss runs, it's gonna hit your premiums. So there's gotta be money in it. There's gotta be we gotta look at the deductible, we gotta look at the coverages, we gotta look at the exclusions, right? You have to be smart about it, but in the end, if you're smart, we'll get you the most money because we're gonna make sure they give you 2 coats of paint, not 1. They're gonna take off every single molding. We're gonna go through it with a fine-tooth comb. We do our own estimates. We go to every property. We're licensed all over the United States. We get you the most money, and if you're really smart about it, you make a little money on the side. You get code upgrades, you cut some corners. It's up to you. Because that's up to you. In the end, the money is yours. You choose not to fix it, you're insured for what you did and did not do. So if you put in junky floors, then next time when you have a leak, you get reimbursed for junk floors. But that's on you. Maybe you want to sell it instead. That's on you. We'll help you figure it out, but we handle everything start to finish. So that's what we do, and we provide full concierge service. So we look over your policies every year, see if it makes sense for that property. If you're in a big wind tunnel, if you're right on the water, you need to pay attention to what kind of claims are real life problems for you. Don't buy stuff you don't need, and don't undersell yourself. And if you do, know that you did, because if you get nailed, you're getting nailed big.
Okay, 2 to go. A-Star.
I'll give you a 30-second advertisement on A-Star. I'll just say one word on it. If you want to get it done right, come to us, try it once, you'll be sold. What I do want to do is go over some of the pearls of wisdom that Rabbi Boymelgreen gave us, and maybe add 1 or 2 of my own. Somebody asked about if you're cheaper, if somebody's going to go to somebody else because they're cheaper than the other guy. This is a very important rule to knock into your head. If it's about price, it's not about price. It's never about price. You got to figure out what it's really about, and then you'll know where you stand. Stick with it. Whatever you do, you need focus. You cannot succeed without focus. Think about it. I always say this to my children who are doing homework. You got to sit down, focus. Same thing in business. And the last one is, somebody asked if you ever change your mind. I'll just put a general rule out there. If you never change your mind, you might not have one. And, we're residential and commercial mortgages. I welcome you to stop by. Bottom line is, if there's a house involved and you need the money, for those who are getting started in real estate or those who are in real estate, if there's a house involved, we can get it done. If it's doable, we'll get it done. Come by and talk to us.
Okay, last but not least, we have we'll move on to the roundtables.
Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Toby. I'm here from Swift Staffing. We do hiring, recruiting, HR training for all sorts of corporate companies. We do all industries. We do a lot of e-commerce, a lot of real estate. Actually, Menashe was placed by our firm. So we specialize in speed. Thank you. We figure out your need and we specialize in speed. We can usually place the exact candidate of what you need in under 2 weeks, sometimes in 48 hours. My twin sister runs the Muncie headquarters and I'm the executive Miami recruiter. I live here. My kids are in the local schools. I know the local neighborhoods. So whether it's real estate, e-commerce, all the up and coming businesses that are demonstrative of the booming Miami economy, just give me an email. Thank you very much.
Okay, I want to call up one of our roundtable leaders has a special initiative that he wants to talk about for 30 seconds.
Literally 30 seconds. My wife and I founded an organization called Hersenberg Mitzvah Mission. We self-fund it. We enable laymen to be leaders. Some of you guys may have seen me at one of the other events, but we brought some menorahs tonight here, and if anybody wants to give out menorahs to those who would otherwise not light, there's bags, there's menorahs, hundreds of them. Please give them out for us. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I want to and then we're going to get started. First of all, I want to thank my wife, who's not here, and let me disappear for a few days. I want to thank this event happened because we have a committee of young people from across the whole neighborhood of South Florida, from Boca all the way down to Miami. And I want to give a shout out to Mendy Dolphin, and to Zaman Nutuk, and to Menachem Bialo, and to Levi Gold, and to Shia Schneider. And I want to give a big shout out to Joe Brickman, who was very instrumental in getting the ball rolling on this event. So here's how the event is going to go right now, okay? We're starting the roundtables. The roundtables, there's different, first of all, Shaya is going to stay. He's also going to run a roundtable. At this table here, if you have questions for Shaya, they're like Fabrengens. They're Q&As. Pick the topic that you want. Sit down. Let me just quickly announce the tables so you know exactly where to go. Okay, we have three tables for brokers. So we have listing secrets with Joe, hold on, let me Brickman, but let me just pull up the, I should have done this before, sorry, Huddle Real Estate. Okay, so we have listing secrets with Joe Brickman. Here we go, okay. Yes, we have funding secrets with Yuri Hirschenberg. We have leveraging assets with Chaim Kahana. We have landing your first investment property with Yossi Edelcup. Then we have understanding the short-term rental market with Nachum Rabin. Then we have inside the world of luxury real estate with Zalmi Shapiro and his partner. So find the table that you're interested in. The food is coming back out. The vendors are there. You could network, you could learn, you could grow, have success, and enjoy.